On today's show, learn about an innovative way to improve water flow for on-farm hygiene and other purposes. Also, we shine the spotlight on sports development. Thanks for joining us on Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Sit back, relax, and keep watching for these and more to come.
Water is precious. So we encourage everyone to practice the 4 R's of water conservation. Always remember to reduce your use of water wherever possible. Replace water wasting devices with water savings devices. Reuse water wherever possible. And wherever leaks are found, please repair them and repair them quickly.
Don't delay. Practice the 4 R's of water conservation today.
Hygiene is part of the health equation, so out in the fields at our food source, the producers are being introduced to innovative ways of harnessing and channeling water for hygiene use and other purposes.
Based on laws imposed by the United States, Jamaican farmers are required to be certified under the Food Safety Modernization Act, as well as the Global Good Agricultural Practices Global GAP, if they want to export to that country. Given this development, the Rural Agricultural Development Authority RADA saw the need to introduce a hand wash station for farmers. It's part of the measures to assist local growers improve sanitation on their farms and fulfill one criteria for export certification.
The concept behind this is just a little bit different. Usually other hand wash stations will have a gravity-fed system, but what we done, we have incorporated a system that was developed here locally several years now, where we used the pump and spray that was introduced some time ago. Although it was introduced for the same concept in terms of showing and things like that, we have used the features of the pump and spray to add a little bit more dynamics to our presentation here, where you have a pressurized system. So that calls for a person's self. One person can actually wash their hands here without assistance from somebody else. So you'd go there without contaminating that water source that you have.
This hand wash station is not only affordable, it is also easy to assemble. All you need is an iron trolley, 3 oil kegs, a pump and spray instrument, and some PVC pipes and fittings.
From there, at a local welder, we modify the trolley, and in a way that we could install the kegs. So here we have the trolley, and we weld the handles, so it would be able to hold the keg steadily. And this is a pump and spray that we can get locally. So how it works is that a farmer or anybody who is working in the field would come by the wash station. He would get some soap on his hand, okay, and he would pump the system. The pair would pressurize the bottle, and in return the air will displace the water, and the water will comes up, and then the farmer would wash. After washing, the farmer wouldn't have to touch anything to contaminate his hands. He would just move over to the hand towel and dry his hands.
It was good. I enjoyed doing it. It wasn't hard at all. It was just easy. Just put my foot and pump it. Water just come up, and I wash my hands.
The effects of not having a hand wash station, well, it's really more for safety as it relates to you, the farmer, because what RADA's mandate is also about is to educate farmers on best practices as it relates to agriculture, and the farmer's safety is a part of the best practices that we are trying to encourage out there.
The team also successfully designed a water pump made using a weed hacker, which can fill a 50-gallon drum in 5 minutes.
This whacker can be used for more than one purpose. So A farmer can have a waka but need a water pump, cannot afford a water pump. Now what the farmer can do is just easily retrofit the waka and a pump, merge them together so that he can have a water pump and a waka. So at times, whenever the farmer need a waka, he just remove the pump and put on the waka section.
Farming may be expensive, but through innovation, your basic equipment could be just what you need to ensure greater savings.
So many wish they could visit our shores. We live where they vacation. Brand Jamaica beckons all from the four corners of the earth.
Well, as a Jamaican, I have great pride in selling it. Your pride that you sell Jamaica with is something that it rolls off. Jamaica has so much to offer, and every time I have the privilege of bringing an executive down to Jamaica, an executive from an airline or a tour operator or a travel agency, and you take them across the country, the pride that they said, wow, I can't imagine, especially when it's their first time. Wow, I love this.
Build it. Cherish it. Our wealth is Brand Jamaica. Dangerous strains of bacteria such as E. coli and Salmonella can cause serious health problems when the food we eat become contaminated through improper handling and not being properly cooked. In light of the dangers, there are some important precautionary measures we must observe to protect our health.
We have to make sure we know where we're purchasing our food. If it's straight from the farms, if it's from the market, it's from the supermarket, it's from the meat shop. Ensure that it is clean. When you are preparing the food, ensure that you have a separate cutting board for meats, separate cutting board for vegetables, and you're constantly washing your hands. If you're going to eat out, ensure that the environment in which you're going to take your family is one where you can trust that the food is being prepared in a clean environment. We love our street food, and we encourage, as Consumer Protection Agency, we encourage that economic activity. But we're saying you're to take precautions as well. Ensure that your street food are from reputable persons that you can trust.
Check the expiry date on food products before purchasing and check them again before cooking.
In food preparation as well, the education is to ensure that you separate the raw from the cooked. The raw and the cooked is a totally different environment. So when you mix the two, that's when you have contamination. That's when you have food poisoning. That's when you have a member of the family who might end up in the hospital because they're either very young or they're elderly or their immune system has been compromised.
Discard any food that looks or smells questionable. Don't allow your food to stay open and accessible to flies. Containerize and refrigerate or freeze leftover food before 2 hours after cooking. And always store meats and seafood in sealed containers.
The second thing about food safety is you have large amounts of food laid out for a couple of hours or more, and the family keeps coming back, dipping, visitors coming, dipping. You have to ensure if you have the food out for more than 2 hours, hot food, be very careful, especially if you add sauces and other condiments on the food. It tends to go a little off early, and that is where you have problems if you have an elderly person or a young child. Make sure that you put that away early, that you don't put your family at risk, because food poisoning, most of us get well quickly, but it can lead to death if your immune system has been compromised. So we're saying be safe with your food. ensure that when you package them and put them away, they're packaged in portions where when you take them out to reheat, you don't reheat the entire thing and then put it back in the refrigerator. So you apportion it according to what you're going to be using, so you don't increase the risk of food poisoning or any other bacteria entering the food.
Ensure meats are cooked thoroughly. Remember, improper food handling can mean the difference between a trip to the emergency room or enjoying a tasty meal.
Jamaica's cooperation with other countries in the area of sports development has grown over the years due to the country's success in various sporting disciplines. Reciprocal development agreements with countries like China have been facilitating the exchange of coaches and athletes in training that benefits both countries.
It all started with the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding and letters of exchange in 2017. Then, in January 2018, the first delegation of Chinese coaches landed on the island to assess certain national teams and collaborate with local coaches and administrators. This was the beginning of the Technical Sports Cooperation Program with the People's Republic of China and Jamaica. Under the program, more than 400 local athletes will travel to China for training over 3 years, and equipment will be donated to 7 sporting disciplines from the Chinese government. For year 1 of the program, 138 athletes, coaches, and managers from Jamaica traveled to China in the summer of 2018 for intensive training. The sporting disciplines represented were badminton, synchronized swimming, women's football, women's basketball, swimming, volleyball, and gymnastics.
I can truly say that this project is bearing fruit. The work ethic of the athletes in this project has improved significantly. They had to work very, very hard.
I came to China trying to focus on my turns and my weak areas, and I came here and I've executed all that, so I'm glad.
The process has been very good. It has been a learning process for both the coaches and the students. We have been doing new techniques, focusing on strength training and adapting to the high altitude that we have here, and that has helped our swimmers immensely.
They are very talented. They have big potential, and the best thing I see inside of them is they stay positive and they have faith.
It's been really, really great. A very good experience. It's been very, very difficult, challenging, the breathing, everything. The program itself, it's the variety of everything. It's been a great experience.
I try harder every day to make improvements on what I did yesterday. I'm more dedicated and disciplined in the sport.
I have learned a lot, so trust me, because volleyball here in China is completely different, or let me say in Asia is completely different from in the Caribbean. So technique-wise, I've learned a lot, especially with hitting, serving, and how to deal with beginners compared to those who are already aware of the skills in volleyball, so it has been very good.
In addition to the beneficial training of the teams and coaches in China, a number of local coaches also benefited from clinics here in Jamaica, and a gym was completely outfitted for gymnastics.
On behalf of the government and people of Jamaica, I want to express our sincere gratitude to the government and people of the People's Republic of China for the equipment. We thank you so much.
For year 2 of the program, which was launched on January 2, 2019, a second batch of Chinese coaches arrived in the island to undertake 34 days of training. But that's not all. Sports Minister Oliver Grange has announced that negotiations are ongoing with China to finalize an agreement that will complement the current program.
Those negotiations include 1, training of other teams in China, possibly to include winter sports teams, field events athletes, particularly in the throws, triathletes, water polo.
The negotiations also include training of Chinese sprint athletes in Jamaica, redevelopment of national infrastructural sports facilities, training of athletes in China for 3 months instead of 2 months. Government also wants to arrange the dispatch of Chinese coaches to Jamaica for 2 or 3 months rotation period and for provisions to be made for local medical personnel, massage physiotherapists, and chefs to accompany our delegation to China for training.
As a minister, you can be assured of my continued support for the development and advancement of sport in Jamaica.
As we welcome in a new year of 2019, we are very confident that with more joint and concerted effort and closer collaboration, together we can make a lot of things happen to benefit both countries and peoples. When the program is done, I'm confident also that we will have a lot more friendship ambassadors for both countries.
Let's get together and feel alright.
Protect yourself from the flu virus. Visit your nearest health center or doctor to get the flu vaccine. Cover your mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing. Wash your hands regularly with soap and water or by using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid the spread of germs by not touching your eyes, mouth, or nose. And be sure to regularly disinfect surfaces and objects that are used often. Remember, your health is your responsibility.
The human body cannot function without water. While you may live for up to 3 weeks without food, you cannot go more than a week without water. From breaking down the food we eat so the body can use it, to helping us heal when we get sick, water is needed for almost every process that takes place in the body. And although 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, drinking it directly from seas, rivers, wells, or aqueducts may make you sick. Untreated water contains bacteria and other germs, as well as chemicals that may be dangerous to the body. So in order to get the water from here to here safely, it has to be treated. Water treatment processes differ depending on the source. If the water is coming from a river, for example, here at the Negro River in St. Thomas, it usually goes through an extensive treatment process before reaching the pipe.
Here is where we do the first type of treatment in the form of sedimentation and screening. Behind me you can see where we screen the bigger stuff like the sticks, the stones and debris. Then we come down to the sediment where we separate the sand from the stones. And then this water will leave from St. Thomas and pipe into Kingston via pipeline into the Mona Reservoir.
The Mona Reservoir is the island's largest raw water storage facility and provides the liquid to over 30% of people living in Kingston and St. Andrew. If this is where you get your water, here is where the next step in the treatment process occurs.
Here in the reservoir, we allow for maximum levels of mixing, maximum levels of aeration, as can be done here at the facility. We also, at the reservoir, you allow for settling out of the silt and the suspended particles, dirt particles, that would otherwise be in the raw water. We then take the water from the reservoir and take it to the Mona treatment plant.
At the treatment plant, chemicals are added to further purify the water. Chlorine is first added to kill bacteria.
You have stages that include flocculation, where we actually add chemicals to the water that allow those microscopic dirt particles that are still in the water to be brought together in what we call flocks, and then we are able to skim it off and remove it from the water
The water is then passed through filters which contain layers of sand, gravel, charcoal or synthetic materials that remove remaining small particles. The final stage is disinfection. Here, chlorine is added to kill any other bacteria or germ.
Ensuring that we have what we refer to as chlorine residual that goes with the water, so that as the water travels along the pipeline to our customers, should it come in contact with any germs along the way, there is enough chlorine residual in that water to destroy those germs and still be delivered to the customer in good quality.
The water is tested all throughout the treatment process to ensure that what you get in your pipe meets World Health Organization standards.
For several years running, the National Water Commission has won the best tasting water in the Caribbean. We have also been acknowledged by the various arms of the United Nations at different points in time as having one of the best quality water in the hemisphere.
That is definitely something we can drink to.
They were heading home, playing in the streets just like they always did. When
I'll see you again.
My name is Sheldon Bell. I barely survived. My friend, she didn't. I'm now much more careful on the road. You should be too.
330 Jamaicans died in road crashes in 2014. 99 of the deceased were pedestrians. Road users, obey road rules. Walk, drive, and ride with care. Remember, road safety begins with you.
Energy is the lifeblood of modern societies. Jamaica's National Energy Policy 2009 to 2030 envisions a modern, efficient, diversified, and environmentally sustainable energy sector, providing affordable and accessible energy supplies with long-term energy security, supported by informed public behavior on energy issues and an appropriate policy, regulatory, and institutional framework.
And the Science, Energy and Technology Ministry is charging full force ahead in advancing our Vision 2030 goals. Government's drive to reduce electricity spend across the public sector has been accelerated this fiscal year. More than $1 billion of energy efficiency initiatives are being executed. They include lighting upgrade projects at 50 public sector facilities, which include 6 public hospitals.
Among other things, the interventions at these institutions will improve the installation of energy-efficient lighting, solar photovoltaic technology, and solar water heating systems. These upgrades are expected to reduce collective electricity demand, which at current rates translates to more than $41 million in savings.
Later this month, the 8 Rivers Energy Company will be commissioning Jamaica's largest solar farm, which will generate 37 megawatts of energy. The Jamaica Public Service Company's 190 megawatt plant will also be commissioned in Old Harbour in July 2019. It will provide more stability and reliability for the electricity grid. JPS is also installing a storage facility that combines lithium-ion battery and flywheel technology.
The facility will be the largest in the region and will offer 24.5 megawatts of storage capacity to mitigate the intermittency that some renewable sources introduce to the grid and alleviate the need to operate expensive fossil fuel plants.
The Integrated Resource Plan IRP is said to be on track for its June completion.
This will provide the framework for informed decisions to be made so that Jamaicans will only pay for the electricity that they need.
JPS customers are also being included. Through electric power wheeling facilities, soon they will be able to sell electricity to the company on terms where an equivalent amount of electricity may be used from the grid at one or more locations.
We are expecting to receive a consultative paper from the Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, to start the process. It is expected that this will give us some sense of the pricing environment for power wheeling. I am passionate about unlocking the innovators in all Jamaicans.
In creating a knowledge-based and digital society, our youth must be empowered to use technology.
For this financial year 1920, the TAP program will be synced with the Housing Opportunity Production and Employment Program, the HOPE program. It will continue with the engagement of 1,000 participants and will focus on business process outsourcing training at all levels. The new batch of participants are expected to be engaged by July 2019.
As for the Tablets in School program, this year it will be renamed and revamped as the Technology Integration in Infants and Primary Schools project. It will be rolled out in 120 schools, impacting more than 40,000 students and 1,800 teachers. The Universal Service Fund is continuing its goal of making internet more accessible to Jamaicans. USF will be establishing 4 new Wi-Fi areas across the island. $50 million have been earmarked to finance projects aimed at using technology to improve the quality of life of persons with disabilities. USF has also earmarked $200 million to finance ICT projects for young entrepreneurs. eGov Jamaica has also prototyped an e-participation app dubbed MyGovJM, which seeks to empower all citizens.
The app will connect citizens with government and provide a voice for the people, which will be heard and acted upon by this government.
Additionally, the JA-CERT website, where you can report cyber incidents, is now live. To suppress mosquito populations through the use of sterile insect technique, the International Center for Environmental and Nuclear Science will be installing a multi-purpose gamma irradiator.
Our hope is that someday, through science, we can say bye-bye to dengue fever, Zika, and chikungunya.
The center is also in the process of reviewing the Registrar General Department's data to determine spatial correlations of deaths from cancer and trace elements in the soil. The first draft of the findings is expected to be available in March 2020. The Scientific Research Council, SRC, will this year continue to expand its science popularization thrust with emphasis on community development and science education.
In this regard, 3 new community-based programs will be implemented to support the development of products and taking these products to commercialization.
There you have it, the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology at your service.
Don't make diseases spread. Wash your hands with soap and water instead. Wash them regular or use a hand sanitizer. Make sure the germs them dead. Touching your eyes or your mouth or your nose. Wash your hands before you do things like those. After you use the bathroom before preparing food, come on, wash your hand them clean.
We've come to the close of Jamaica Magazine for today, but we hope you've been enlightened and ask that you join us again tomorrow for more. Until then, continue to watch these and other programs by logging on to our website, jis.gov.jm, or subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on all social media platforms. On behalf of the entire production team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.